popular El Toro roller coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey remains closed.
State investigators were here after more than a dozen people were injured on that roller coaster last night.
El Toro last night. 13 were evaluated at the park. 5 of them were then taken to a local medical facility.
There was a malfunction of some kind. Several people reported back pain, and at least 5 people were actually taken to the hospital.
El Toro has had not one, but 2 major accidents in the past year. On June 9, 2021, the back upstop wheels dislocated and the train had a partial derailment. This destroyed the track and caused for a long-term refurbishment as well as an investigation into what had happened. After a prolonged opening on April 2, 2022, El Toro would seem to hit another obstacle in its operating life. On the night of the 25th, El Toro hit a pothole in the track a little harder than it should have and injured multiple riders. This fan-favorite coaster among enthusiasts who once had a bright future now seems to find it difficult to find the light at the end of the tunnel. So in today's video, we will be answering the question, does El Toro have a future? Before we go straight into the details, we need to take a deep dive in El Toro's history. Back in an era when Six Flags had money and investments like King Ka and Goliath, the B&M Hyper one, were a pretty common sight. Six Flags decided to take a risk and buy an Intamin prefabricated wooden roller coaster. The concept of this model was brilliant, as it combined steel manufacturing techniques with the feeling and presence of a wood coaster. This would also allow strong forces to be delivered, especially our favorite one, ejector airtime. The basis behind it is Intamin would fabricate or print the track beforehand and give a construction manual on how to assemble the numerous parts. This would ensure no construction errors were made and make a wooden coaster give the most smooth ride experience possible. Now this all sounds like fun and games, but the issues have begun to show recently. The latest ride malfunctions cannot be pinned to an exact point, mainly because details have not been released to the public, and probably never will, but I will take a shot at the dark here. El Toro is known for its relentless intensity, strong forces, and of course its wicked airtime. This combined with the comically large 18-row trains puts a lot of stress on the footers. The derailment in 2021 was caused by an error in engineering when a gap in the track created issues with the upside wheels. They somehow got over on top of the track, and we all know that did not end very well. The information was not released to the public as it was deemed proprietary, which for you intellectual GPs, that means it had something to do with the ownership. Despite this, Six Flags was not fined for the accident, they were instead fined for failing to report it to authorities. This was mainly because of their spokesperson who denied all social media allegations of it derailing. Now that does seem like an actual ownership issue. Intamin did an investigation and God knows what they found, I wish I knew, and after a retrack and a reopening, El Toro seemed to be running better than ever. Until it wasn't. After the Rolling Thunder Hill, a noticeable pothole began to grow. In fact, multiple potholes began to grow, and the ride was depreciating. Multiple Reddit posts have detailed El Toro getting noticeably rougher in the coming months of July and August. And then the storm hit. El Toro on a seemingly normal day hit that pothole after the Rolling Thunder Hill a little too hard. The coaster completed its cycle and riders exited normally, if normal was even a way to describe it. They came off with minor injuries and an immense amount of pain. Now El Toro can be painful, but it's not injury-inducing painful. Something was definitely wrong. In an exclusive interview with CBS New York, an employee said quote unquote, "Maintenance has known about it and they have tried fixing it, but for how it is, it just keeps happening. The employees keep telling them that there's an issue with the pothole and maintenance has done nothing about it." And this is the most accurate information we have on that night. Could it be improper management of the park, the firing of Great Adventure's old park president, or Six Flags' new CEO Salim Bissel's poor management skills? Who knows? But what is the future for El Toro? I could see 3 valid options coming to mind. We will go down the list and talk about the likelihood of each one, and how it would impact the coaster. Of course, you have the option of it simply reopening. Six Flags knows how monumental this coaster is, and I do not think they would say goodbye to it easily. An accident already happened once, and it opened up a year later with a retracking. I could see this as another very likely outcome. When Six Flags and Intamin and whoever else needs to do the investigation come up with results that seem to be somewhat promising, then no doubt about it, Six Flags will retract the potholes and clean up the whole mess of the Twister segment, and reopen El Toro as it's standing today. But will that prevent a future accident and help the reliability of this coaster? No, it just simply won't. I see this as the most likely option and probably the most favorite option out of the coaster community. This is even preferable to me, as it would be a sad claim to fame that you have never rode the Iron Bull in its original phase. That brings me to the next point. You can refurbish the ride in 2 ways. One of them is more unconventional than the other. I mean, they are both pretty massive moves, but one of them is significantly less likely to happen, and that is my perceived idea. Great Adventure, after seeing the failure of Intamin's investigation and retracking, that was probably Six Flags' fault anyways, will opt to a different coaster manufacturer to retrack. We all know the big name, and I'll get into that later, but I am talking about a GCI retrack. The new Titan track by this company looks to be super promising. This would turn El Toro into a hybrid, but allow it to keep the layout that it is today. Unfortunately, the trains would be incompatible with this type of track, and Millennium Flyers would need to be brought out. And Millennium Flyers are generally not the best trains and don't compare to the ones currently on El Toro. You would still have the aggressive, intense machine that El Toro is today, however the hindered experience from shortened trains would seem like a massive downgrade in everyone's eyes. Also, I have no idea how well GCI Titan Track and Millennium Flyers hold up. I could not picture a Millennium Flyer in my head tracking El Toro's layout. It would just look incredibly goofy. Now, this is not a probable outcome, it's not even a somewhat likely outcome. If there was 100 realities where El Toro got changed, I could see 1 out of the 100 being GCI Titan Track. I just wanted to throw it out there as a possibility. Now for the big name that we all want to hear or don't want to hear, RMC. Rocky Mountain Construction is notorious for taking old-aged rough woodies and turning them into psychological torture machines of pure ejector airtime. El Toro would be no exception. You're taking one of the best wooden coasters of all time and completely redoing it. That's probably not going to sit well with the coaster community, but it's a more probable outcome than you think. RMC is cheap enough for Six Flags to afford. And with the new CEO promising big things for the company and taking some, let's just say, questionable measures, Six Flags should have enough money to afford a very good RMC conversion. I'm not talking about no basic RMC conversion. I'm just gonna throw this out here like theme park predictions. Giga iBox track, or at least the tallest iBox coaster in the world. If you are gonna take something so reputable and popular, you have to improve on it. And that's really hard to do when you're already looking at a top 25 coaster in the world, arguably top 10. So you get a Giga iBox. What is it going to look like? It better be the #1 coaster in the world, or at least rival it, and have it be called Twisted Toro, or Wicked Toro, or Iron Toro. That was a joke. But it better be good, very good. I think you can instantaneously satisfy the general public with an RMC conversion. Some of them, no, a lot of them, already complain that El Toro is too rough, and some people simply can't handle it, aka me when I ride it for the first time. The GPA are going to view the RMC El Toro as a wooden coaster and simply a upgrade. They would view it as a similar but way smoother ride experience, something that they can actually handle and enjoy. So what I'm saying is, if I were Salim Basol or the new Great Adventure Park president, I would build that RMC conversion. It just makes more sense. You lose the risk of having another accident. You already hired Intamin and 2 happened in 1 year. It's a cheap upgrade, a new way to brand and profit off another edition, that you make it absolutely perfect, or you are going to have the whole entire enthusiast community breathing down your neck instantaneously. Now, like I said before, this is not the most probable outcome. El Toro simply reopening with an Intamin retrack is probably going to happen, but I would give it a fair 60-40 shot. Post-recording E-Town, bringing you some more banger content here. I was walking from my 4th to 5th class period, browsing Reddit like the actual loser that I am, and I stumbled across a post by Rocky Mountain Construction. Apparently, I've been living under a rock for the past couple of years, and there's an RMC track called 208 Retrack. This looks to be the perfect option for El Toro, and the community has definitely catched on. Why RMC would bring it up right now, I have no idea, but they did. We can only speculate. Some dude even got a response about El Toro. Now this would turn El Toro into a hybrid but keep its original layout, which is perfectly fine. If I was Salim Basol, I would actually choose this option because it would keep El Toro as El Toro and satisfy both the general public and coaster enthusiasts while remaining relatively cheap. There's a lot more info about this that RMC has posted on the Reddit post, and if I remember, I'll put it somewhere in the description. So is there a future for El Toro? Absolutely. For a coaster that has built so much from the ground up, the reputation of this ride is something that will go down in history. It is influential in so many ways, and it's one of the most monumental coasters of the 2000s. There's no way it disappears just with a click. It's not Volcano the Blast Coaster. At least, let's hope it's not that. That's all for today's video, guys. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.